Hi guys, welcome. So just a really quick video today. It's Wednesday, March the 17th, so second day of paper trading, my new strategy, which is based on just higher price stocks and less about momentum and more about the kind of technical side of things. So more about using RSI indicators, extreme indicators, using more EMAs, SMAs. So just a bit of a technical approach rather than a kind of gung-ho momentum approach. And today was a pretty good day, $1,126. Mind you, I went through a little bit of pain to get there, but it wasn't too bad. So let me just go through the trades one by one. So I started with, let me just expand this a little bit further out. Okay, so I started this morning with SNDX. So let's have a look at this. So this popped up on the high of day Momo scanner. Now, I got to the market today an hour late after open. So I got to the market at 10:30. I wasn't able to make it earlier than that today. So I missed the first hour. And when I opened my Trade Ideas software, the gappers I had, let me show you. So this is what I was looking at this morning. Sorry, this afternoon. So I got into the market at 10:30. So 10:30 I arrived, and this is what I was seeing. Obviously, it was a bit different then because it was obviously at 10:30 in the morning. But I had RRGB up here. I had TVIX. Pretty much, I mean, I don't think this changed too much, but that's pretty much what I was looking at. So none of that really was in play at the time at around 10:30. So I just waited around. I wasn't that keen to get into a trade. I was basically just looking at the market. And if I didn't trade today, that would have been perfectly acceptable as well because I got in late. I didn't get time to prepare. But I thought, okay, if anything pops up, I'll have a look at it. So along came SNDX. Now, only reason I got in here is because I wanted to test my theory about buying on dips. Now, yesterday I spoke to one of the guys that are following us on YouTube. He's also a beginner trader like myself, and we had a really good almost 2-hour discussion about, the things that we do, the place we're at, the journey itself, what's working, what's not working. So, really, really good chat. So thanks a lot, buddy. And I'm sure we both took away something from that. So I decided today I'm going to see if I can get in on a dip. So normally my strategy was just to, I have a high FOMO, so I get in as soon as I see something breaking a new high, and then I kind of suffer because it normally just plummets. So today I made a conscious decision to not get into SNDX unless it broke below 1450. Now this was going up all morning, as you can see, and I think when the time I was looking at it was at 1463, 1468, and I said to myself, okay, I'm going to set a stop limit order at about $14.40. If it gets there, fantastic, great, I get executed, brilliant. I mean, if not, that's fine. I've got to learn to be patient, and I've got to learn not to be gung-ho. And it came down to about 1440, whatever it was, and I got in, I got executed. I think it was, how many shares was it? So it was 200 shares. So at 1460, 1450, okay. Okay. So 1460 and 1450. Okay, so it must have. So I think it was probably a little bit higher than what I said. So it must have been around 1475 that it dropped to 1460, which is where I got filled, and 1450. So the resistance, that natural resistance level of 50 of a $0.50 level is quite strong. And these levels you can see I have marked off a 5-year chart. So if I pull that in, these are the levels I was looking at. So this is us today, the green candle, and this is a 5-year chart, and I marked the major pivot points on this within the area of where we were this morning. And you can see I marked out 14, I think 1449, or I think it was 1499, and so forth and so forth. So I basically went 5 years back. I said, okay, which of these areas could become further resistance for this stock today? And I drew my levels on. And based on that, that kind of helped me as well. Because as you can see, it actually got to, what was it? It got to this level here, 1526. And it bounced off that. So, these levels do make a difference, and they do work. So it's very useful having them drawn on here. So long story cut short, I had two orders, one for 300, one for 200. They both got executed. So my average was, let's look at my average, SNDX, 1471. Okay, I thought it was a bit lower than that, but that's fine. So it was 1471, and then it took off. And then I actually traded this twice. So I got out, I think, just under $15. I think it broke it, but it went back below. You got to remember that these full dollar resistance marks are also quite strong. So whenever a stock reaches a full dollar level, a whole dollar level, the resistance there can be quite strong. And what I've noticed is that it tends to pop up really quickly through that level, say to 1508, 1510, and then it gets dragged back down again to about 1497, 1495, and it can hover around there for a little bit. And if it has some impetus and momentum, then it will squeeze through that 15 whole dollar mark again, and it will continue upwards. If it doesn't, obviously that's called a rejection of the whole dollar level, and then it goes back down. So this did reject it. So it was rejected at 15, but then it broke through and it got up all the way to, I think, 1531. And so I got out, I scaled out, and that was a decent trade. And how much was that? So that made me $99. So my target at the moment is to make $100 a day, and to do that consistently, day in, day out. And I could have stopped there, and that would have been me done. But because I'm paper trading and I'm experimenting with this new strategy, I'm doing things which I normally wouldn't be doing, just to see whether they work. I mean, that's the whole point of testing and developing a new strategy. You need to see how it functions, what works, what doesn't work. So the second stock I traded, I think it was Nvidia. So I've had a bit of a love affair with this stock for the last week, because it seems to be such a good stock to trade and scalp, really. I mean, you can make, $30, $50, I wouldn't say easily, but, consistently, if you get good entries in it. And this is just the last 2 days. So you can see it's gone from, 133.38. Is this pre-market? This is pre-market. So let's look at pre-market. Let's look at the market hours. So, anything, it oscillates from like 133.37. I wouldn't look at that, because that was, well, okay, let's look at that. So to 137.5 almost. So you've got like $4 in there, four points. And obviously, that's not saying that you're going to get 4 points off each trade. But, even if you buy 100 shares, if you can afford to buy 100 shares, and, that's great. And then, every cent that it moves is $1 in your favor or against you. So the short story being that if it moves 30 cents, you've made $30 minus commissions. And this has been up absolutely crazy for the last 4 days or so. But even if we go back last 4 days, I remember when this was like 120 or something. Actually, let's go back just a month ago. Right. So even April 19th, it was sitting at $89, right? $90. And then it had this kind of consolidation, and then really 9th of May, so what's today, 17th, so what, 9 days ago, this thing just went absolutely bonkers. In one day it went from $99 all the way to 118. Obviously 100 being a very very important number, a very psychologically important number. When it broke that, I mean, the kind of house came down, and everyone just jumped on it. And ever since then, this has been a really good stock to be trading. Every day you can find momentum. I mean, look at this. Even if you traded it on May 10th, which was last week, I think. When was May the 10th? Last Wednesday, exactly, right? So you had a range of 112 to 121, 122. That's $10. That's $10 in a day. All you've got to do is get 30, 50 cents of that once or twice, and that's $100. I mean, obviously, if you have a bigger account, you can size up. That's fine. But every day you can see it's had really good range, which makes this just a really good stock to be trading. So today, I saw it in play again. Now, I have to be honest, this wasn't in play per se, in terms of it wasn't on any gap alert, it wasn't on any RSI scanner or reversal scanner. I've just simply got this up on my screen, because I just like watching it for like I said, last week. There's always something that can be scalped out of it. So I got in, I think I traded this twice. I made a $100 loss on it. But the point was, I was testing out this strategy, and now this was already down a fair bit when I went to short it. Now, this is getting really late in the day to short. I mean, if I was going to short it, I really should have, started anywhere. Where's the market open? 9:30. So, really anywhere after this massive kind of drop, or even the pullback, this would have been a decent entry, 133.31. I mean, that would have been, a really good safe entry, because it wouldn't have broken that, or even 133 would have been a really good entry, because that would have been at the point, the kind of the low of day. So if you know that it breaks the low of day, then it can obviously keep going down lower. So that would have been a good entry point. Now, I got in here mostly as an exercise to see, okay, how is my strategy working when I use RSI? Now, the RSI at this point was 40. So not really low enough to be shorting, but I just wanted to see and experiment, how does this strategy of mine work, and what happens to a stock after it's already gone down. I think it was, what was it? How many points is it? So it opened up 134.84 and it was already like 130. So like $4.50 down already. So normally I wouldn't be shorting here. If it was live money, I wouldn't be shorting here. But I wanted to see, experiment, get familiar with shorting, just to see how the stock bounces and how the high stocks act. So, I could have covered at 130, because I was actually anticipating the 130 break. Excuse me. I think I traded this twice or three times. I ended up making, I think, $80 the first time, and then I lost on it once or twice. Now, I didn't use any indicators per se, apart from RSI. Now, the RSI was too high to be shorting it, and the stock was already too far down on the day to be shorting it. And I knew that. I knew that wasn't a good entry. But once again, I'm experimenting to see how things go. The next time I take a short like this, I will be looking at whether it breaks the low of day. Okay, so if it would be breaking, if it breaks below, anytime it breaks below a whole dollar, that's a psychological support or resistance level. And then the resistance becomes the support, and the other way around as well. So if 133 was the support, as soon as, and it bounces off that, it keeps going up and up and up, and it keeps bouncing off that's support. But as soon as it breaks that support level, then that becomes like that glass ceiling, that the stock hits, and it just can't go any higher. So this became, 133 became the resistance level. And as you can see also here, it wasn't able to break 133 as well. So that is currently that resistance level on the daily chart. So we're looking at the daily chart at the moment, because if you were to extrapolate this, so this is a 5-year chart of NVIDIA. Because it's at all times high, at all high times, because it's an all-time high, you don't really have a lot of support and resistance that you can base this off, because it's in new territory, and has been, since it broke 121. So you really have to just figure out, using RSI, and indicate exactly, where things could bounce off, using VWAP, for example, and so forth. So there wasn't much that you could have used in terms of indicators on this. So that was NVIDIA, more of an experiment than anything else. So that was, I think, a $95 loss. But, at this point in time, it's not about the result. It's about the process. It's about the plan. It's about putting in place a plan and then seeing it through. That's really what I'm doing at the moment. I'm not really focusing that much on the result, even though obviously that's what I'm judged upon at the end of the day. I actually hide my P&L. So this is what it looks like when I'm trading. So as you can see, I've created this watch list just purely to have a blank screen, and not to see, and not be biased towards whether I should exit a stock or get stopped out. So it's a bit difficult, because you're not seeing if you're up or if you're down. Obviously mentally, you can kind of figure it out. If you get in at $130 and the stock is 133 and you're 100 shares in, you're probably up $300. But it's best just to follow a plan, and not worry about the results, because the plan is what will get you to where you want to go. The result is obviously just a reflection of how good you stuck to your plan. So then we came along ABBV. Look at that. Where's ABBV? So I got in long here. Okay, so let's look at ABBV. Now, why did I get into this stock? I think this, I'm just looking at my scanners. Okay, this was a 52-week high. So on my scanners, which I'll show you in a second, I have a 52-week high. Now, this actually has been quite good recently. Maybe it wasn't 52-week high, because this obviously is a higher price stock, so I don't think it was 50 high. Maybe it was just high of day. Now, once again, experimentation is what this is all about at the moment. So I'm going to get into stocks which I normally probably wouldn't trade, and do things which I probably wouldn't do just to see what the outcome is, because you have to test and refine it. Now, this I think was one of my old habits in